Monday, June the 10th. Approval of the agenda, that the June 10th, 2019 regular meeting agenda be adopted as presented. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Adoption of the minutes. The minutes of the regular council meeting held May 27th be adopted as presented.
Adoption.
Adoption. Any discussion? Any errors or omissions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Public hearing. That the report of the public hearing held May 27, 2019 be received. Moved, received. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. There are no delegations tonight. I'll move over to staff reports right off the bat here, please. Ms. Bellingham, do you want to speak to this when we move right into it?
Well, it came to my attention that the farmers market was going to be held on 3rd Avenue from Wallace Street to Fort, which included a road closure. But we've never done a road closure without council consent. So it was supposed to start last Friday, so we did a quick telephone poll to get approval from council. So tonight we're just ratifying the telephone poll.
All right, I think this is a good way to support the local businesses and the chamber downtown, so I hope this is successful. But moving on from that, the motion will be that council ratify the telephone poll of May 28, 2019, that council approve a road closure along 3rd Avenue from Wallace Street to 4th Street every Friday in the months of June, July, and August 2019 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in order to accommodate the farmers market. And further, that an assessment be conducted mid-July to review any traffic flow issues or other concerns brought forward. Do I have a mover? Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item B, report dated May 29th from the Director of Finance for the 2018 annual report. Mr. Portolowski, do you want to speak to this?
Mr. Mayor, yes, this is a regulatory annual event whereby municipalities are required to provide annual reports to members of the public, and also they go to the responsible ministries of the provincial government. We have put our annual report out for public consultation and advertisement. So it is now time to ideally then get you to approve the annual report. There were no substantial comments that were brought forward to staff with regards to the annual report as far as criticisms, questions, etc. So those members of the public that have indeed reviewed the report seem satisfied. You'll remember that this report, due to your election, is a blend of the last council's report and next year's will be your total report. So we're still on performance measures from the last council into 2017 and 2018. It's a year behind. I'm sure you've had a chance to review. You've received it electronically, and there are hard copies available. So this is a perfunctory resolution, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I will call a motion and then see if there's any discussion from council. The council approves the 2018 annual report. Need a mover? Moved and second. Second. Yeah. Is there any discussion? Councilor Medlock.
Just a couple of probably little clerical things, but I'm on page 25 of our agenda package, so it's the section regarding 2018 community service objectives, and the last point is regarding the Richmond Hill corridor there.
Got it?
So there's the two bullet points on that, one being that the grant application was submitted, and that budget's 840, and I believe that one needs to be in that section. The next point talks about design and engineering work is complete for the grant application, and that the district portion was budgeted for in 2018. That's again repeated on the last point on page 26 of our agenda, and I think that's where it needs to be. So I think in the page 25, the last point can just be removed. And again, on page 26, under the paving program, it mentions Park Street between 3rd and 4th Ave, as well as 3rd Ave between Park and Coquihalla. And I think when I first read that, I thought we had talked about Robertson Crescent being included in the paving this year, and I just thought if it was, that maybe we should include that just for reporting that that's another major section of road that I thought was to be included this year, and if it is so, we should include that.
I will confirm, I did check this with operations, but I will confirm that.
I just remember coming up at the budget meetings, because we reduced overall what we were looking to do, and I thought those were the items that were going to be included. I'm just making sure I didn't know other notes, but I think that was about it. Yeah.
So look for a motion, I guess with the amendments that Councillor Medlock wants to make. Does it need to be?
As, I would recommend as amended, and I will confirm these points and then
Okay.
make the
So
necessary
that's
changes.
amended. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Committee reports. Back to you, Mr. Fortolotsky, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this report was presented in a committee of the whole format, and you did approve in such a format. However, you need to reflect that in a regular council meeting in order to really give it effect from a legislative point of view. So all we're doing here is presenting the resolutions again so they can be adopted by a regular council meeting. The tasks related to this report are already underway, so ensuring some concurrent activity and speed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fortolotsky. So the motion reads that council endorse the resolution for the May 27th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting. That council received the report dated May 22nd, 2019 from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the economic development tourism model, and that council endorse the suggested changes to improve the functioning of the model. Moved. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Mayor and council reports. A brief report tonight. I did attend the closing and spoke on behalf of council for closing remarks for the Good Sam Club rally. There's visitors from Western Canada and Western U.S. and they spent a lot of time in the community. They enjoyed our community. The weather was good when they were here, and they visited several of our businesses in town, and they've already booked 2 years out from now to come back. They had such a good time at Camp Hope. I went around and visited 2 new businesses in town, the barber shop and the music lessons and rehearsal space on Wallace Street. And I had the opportunity to speak at the graduation ceremony for high school this year. A small graduating class, but the next few years going, it's on an upward momentum. So I think this is with the smallest it's been. And as Councillor Medlock, I'm sure, may talk about it. Big thank you to the businesses, the service clubs, and the private citizens for their generous donations for scholarships and bursaries. It still amazes me every time I read about it in the paper and hearing about it in person this year, the amount of money the community puts forward for the students of our high school. It's phenomenal. So the Anglican Church dedication of the Scattering Garden was on Wednesday. I went to that, and the Archbishop was here from New Westminster. I attended the Fraser Valley Healthcare Foundation meeting. We had an update on fundraising for our area and for the hospital auxiliary. They're looking this year for four new emergency beds, only at $12,000 each. $48,000 they're looking for to help fundraise. If any of you are interested in going to the fundraising gala in November at Harrison, it's formal, and it's $150 a ticket. Come and talk to me, and then we'll see if we can get a group together. But, it would be good to get some of us from Hope since somebody's coming here, but I know it's an expensive ticket. I attended the swim meet. 270 competitors plus families. It was a busy weekend in town. They were out and about spending money as well. Thanks to the Lions Club for providing pancake breakfast and hamburgers and hot dog concession stands. I'm sure it was appreciated by the families that were there. I know I did. I appreciated it. That's the end of my report. You want to start, Councillor John?
Sure thing. Mine's quite brief as well, but along with Councillor Smith on Saturday, June 8th, I attended the BC Children's Hospital Charity Golf Tournament. It's the 3rd year I've attended it. I have a niece that spent quite a bit of time at BC Children's, so it's important to me to help out any way I can. I collected info over I was going to look into it last year, but I'm going to actually do a lot more this year to look into it, is maybe look into hosting it actually in Hope next year, or one in Hope next year. I know they have a weekend designated typically to it. It's the 1st or 2nd weekend in June. But I think it'd be a nice way to, you know, also raise more money and include more people from town, but also showcase the Hope Golf Club as well, because as tucked away as it is, and even talking to people down there, a lot of people don't really know a lot about Hope Golf Club, even that close, haven't really visited it, so I think it'd be a good way to also create a lot more buzz about the Hope Golf Course as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Stewart?
Thank you, yes. I also attended the graduation ceremonies at Hope Secondary and at Two Rivers Education Center. And yeah, a really great bunch of kids that are hopefully going to come back to our community after they're well educated and help our community grow. I really liked your speech. It was short, it was sweet, and it was impactful.
Oh, good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I did.
Appreciate
I
that.
enjoyed your speech. Also, I attended the caregivers committee for mental health. And we talked again about the community review that's been going on in mental health and streamlining and specializing mental health services. And they are well on their way to implementing a plan to redirect mental health patients back through their general practitioner. And so the question that they are looking to solve at that particular committee is how do people in the mental health services, or receiving mental health services, how do they get their long-term plans communicated to a GP? Because that will now be the steps that they take, is that they will go first to a general practitioner, and then they will be either treated or referred on to mental health. Now, if they have a long-term plan, they will somehow have to communicate that to their GP so that continued care can take place. So that is the current question of the day, that we're looking for solutions at that table. And also Purple Lights is meeting again tomorrow. This is a committee that is putting together an event in October. October 1st will be the kickoff in Memorial Park. And well on our way to having a nice successful event this year. And yeah, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, on June 4th, the Anglican Church, Richard's worship there, appreciate it. It was a very nice little meeting for everybody there. A lot of people are very excited about the scattering garden there. I think it's a very good thing. A lot of people are going to go there. Also, June 8th, we had the Trash and Treasure on Saturday. So lots of jewels and other things were picked up by people. Some people were excited, some people got some very interesting stuff. Today I attended also, Mayor here, the Trans Mountain Pipeline Planning session at the Rec Center, which was very interesting. And just people know that on June 22nd, Hope Outdoors is having their grand opening down here, which the mayor is doing the ribbon cutting, and people should be there. So all the council sees the little flyers there in their desk about the marketplace, and on the back is a map that Advantage Hope will be giving out, directing people, you know, for parking and that, because we're trying to get them on 4th Street off the Main Street, which will help business in that, so we're trying to get more to help them on that. So this, the map on the back will help a lot. Also, we have the little sandwich ones here that we have set up in restaurants and different things, little thing advertising it, you know, trying to get people downtown, walking around town, get more business out of it. So, come out and see. So this will be the first one this Friday, so take a look.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Medlock?
Thank you. So yeah, it kicked off with the grad celebration. So my son graduated this year. I've attended many grad celebrations on behalf of the Lions Club, handing out bursaries, but this year was special for me since my son was graduating. But the whole weekend was just fantastic. You know, weather was in our favor this year. Last year it was pretty wet, I think. So it was good for everything from the ceremony at the high school. And then the next day they met at the Japanese Gardens here, and they were well looked after and perfect for pictures. And then all the limousines and whatnot came, picked all the kids up there, and they did their prom in Harrison at the Copper Room. So that was a really great day. Again, thanks to all of the community members that do put forward bursaries and spend quite a bit of money helping our grads with post-secondary education. I think it was around $130,000 or something again this year with the entrance scholarships and partnerships with the universities. So really fantastic.
And the trade school.
Trade schools, a lot of the trade programs, yeah.
It was very good.
Full coverage on their tuition. Then the swim meet, I helped out with that with the Lions Club, and it wasn't just the Lions Club that helped out, there's a ton of volunteers that put that event on. The Chamber of Commerce donated money towards the high school band's trip to Italy that took place over spring break. And as a payback, or part of the deal I guess they made with the Chamber was that the kids would help volunteer at the swim meet. So a lot of those band students, they had 2-hour shifts in blocks, so they had it all scheduled, and they were there doing crowd control and running food to the officials who weren't allowed to leave and that kind of thing. So just the amount of people that were out there volunteering to make that event happen was great. I mean, there must have been 1,000 people in town, close to 300 swimmers, plus other families and whatnot. So that was a really good event for town. And again, the weather was in their favor. And then I just wanted to mention that the Community Futures Annual General Meeting is going to be held in Hope this year. We're doing it at Hankey's Restaurant at 4 p.m. on June 27th. So anybody interested in Community Futures and what they've been up to and attending the AGM, that's where it'll be. So it's good to be happening in Hope. We did our strategic planning session in Hope this year, and now the AGM. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilor Matlock. You were a little remiss in telling us that your son was a co-valedictorian.
Yes, he was.
Come on.
Pretty proud of him.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Very good.
Yeah. I'm sure I forgot the young lady's name.
Emma Bonikowski.
Emma.
They did a great job.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
They published that in the paper too. It was pretty cool to see.
Yes, very good.
Oh, there's speeches.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Councilor Smith, way at the end.
Mine's easy. Yeah, attended the BC Children's Hospital golf tournament, along with Councilor Tron there. Like I said, it's a pretty big success. I think this year they were capped at 146 golfers. And they met their need on it there, so we took a bus down. I think there was about 12 people from Hope that we took down, rented a bus and went down there. It was a good event. And then Advantage Hope on June 25th on the Tuesday after next council meeting. That's all I have to report. Nice and easy.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Yeah.
Moving into permits and bylaws. Over to staff, please.
Mr. Mayor, if I can have Mr. Jazz speak directly on this item?
Your worship, through you, the flood erosion development permit and geotechnical hazard development permit for 6635 Stephen Road has come forward. The applicant has demolished the home at the site and would like to go with the prefab designed home. However, he needs to get the appropriate documentation in place as per the geotechnical hazard report and the accompanying flood hazard report.
All right, so I'll read the motion that a flood and erosion and geotechnical hazard development permit be approved for the property 66635 Stevens Road for the construction of a single-family dwelling and approved accessory structures subject to the District of Hope receiving a satisfactory certified report from a qualified professional confirming site-specific safe building envelopes, and further that the Director of Community Development be authorized to endorse the flood and erosion and geotechnical hazard development permit and required covenant documents, and further that for purposes of the development permit validity period, the conditions of the development permit shall expire on June 10th, 2021. And further that for the purposes of Section 504 of the Local Government Act, substantially start any construction shall mean the placement of a foundation for the single-family dwelling or flood protection works as certified safe by a qualified professional. Moved. Second. Any discussion required? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item, please. Oh, I can just go into this, I guess. Mr. Forlowski, I'll go ahead. So this is the District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw number 1457, 2019, that the District of Hope zoning amendment bylaw number 1457, 2019 be adopted this 10th day of June 2019 in order to rezone the property at 648 Willow Street from single-family residential RS1 to two-family residential RT1. Moved.
Move adoption.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Mr. Forlowski?
Councilors, Mr. Mayor, this report comes forward because we've changed our operator at the transfer station, as well as solid waste. And what this report proposes are two things. One is a new issue and one is a cleanup item. The new issue is the addition of a fee for commercial roll-offs. In order to make the transfer station generate a little more revenue, we feel that we should host commercial roll-offs where we can, and that will help offset the cost of that. So we've determined with Valley that we should aim for $140 per metric ton as a fee, and we'll see how that goes. As well, from the bylaw, it mentions people not residing in Hope, providing ID, etc. We got rid of that fee a while ago. We should clean that up. We actually want to encourage as much traffic into the transfer station as possible, again, to generate as much revenue as possible to make it self-sustaining.
And those are the only major changes to this schedule?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. The motion reads that fees and charges amendment bylaw number 1460, 2019 be read a first, second, and third time this 10th day of June, 2019.
Move for discussion.
Moved. Second, discussion. Thank you, Councilor Medlock.
Thank you. So my first question, I guess, is on the $140 per ton or per 1,000 kilogram feed. So how is that fee determined? Like, where does that number come from to value that as appropriate for roll-off containers?
Mr. Mayor, the Director of Operations and I met with Valley. We discussed pegging that, and we did some comparisons as well, and we feel they agreed that would be a fair price to attempt this new initiative at, to make it both attractive and cover the cost for handling roll-offs. This is we've not had roll-offs at the transfer station before.
Right. So I'm just looking at our current fee schedule that isn't changing at this point. We've got, regular refuse is $115, so it's a lower amount.
Right.
So why a difference there if it's coming in on a roll-off versus other means, a dump truck, for example?
My understanding is the roll-off would be dumped, or would be offset for transport, so they would have to actually physically pick up the roll-offs, and they're mixed, so there is a bit of risk as far as what could be in there, so you're covering that amount.
So it's a fee sort of in between an unsorted load and regular garbage, is
Yeah.
where the 140 sits.
Right.
So a company that has roll-offs would leave their bin there full of refuse, and then Valley would then take that bin and do what with it, like tip it in their own bins there at the transfer station, I would assume.
I think they would take it down the valley, however, that is correct, that they would move it. This isn't meant though for businesses that normally have roll-offs that are handled as part of the routine solid waste collection for commercial accounts. Because we have established that now, and it's in the new contract. This is for ideally companies that are coming from out of the area that will see Hope transfer station as an attractive place to do that business.
Okay, so then on that note, I just looked at the next closest one that I hear all the time is less expensive than ours, which is the Bailey landfill. So I looked on the District Chilliwack website, which I still have here if I need to refer to. They currently charge $93 per 1,000 kilograms, up to 5 tons. I think that would be more for just the average person going in type of thing. They have a slightly better rate than us on the clean wood waste and a slightly higher rate than us on drywall. But what I do see that they have is sort of a declining fee based on volume from commercial type accounts, which I would assume these roll-off bin would be commercial type accounts, right?
These would be commercial type accounts, however, at the Bailey landfill, they're at the landfill. So there's a,
Right.
they don't have to pay for transport.
So and that's where I'm trying to justify the cost of 100, the idea behind this is to increase revenue at our transfer station. But at $140 a ton, if it was a commercial contractor that would be bringing that in at that rate, the rate that they could bring to the Bailey landfill, a half-hour drive away, and I understand there's increased transportation costs for them to do so, but between 500 and 300 tons per month, their rate would then be $88 per 1,000 kg, and over 400 tons per month, it's $78. Like, it decreases if you're a larger customer. So I think it would be more beneficial to a contractor in the area to not use Hope at 140 a ton. You know, it'd be worth their time and effort to drive their truck down to the Bailey landfill for that. So I see it as a bit of a deterrent having a fee that high. And that's kind of where my first question came from, is to how is that fee determined? Do things like that come into account?
And when Valley looks at this, I mean, they'll generate their income from the amount of tipping done at the transfer station. Of course, all of these will be subject to monitoring over time and perhaps change an amendment to make the model work better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the amount that we agreed we'd come to council with as the amount that they feel would attract some roll-off business and increase volume. Knowing what they know, because they already do business down valley, and that's part of the reason they came up with that figure.
And they obviously know more about it than I do, for sure. I'd like them to, we gotta do something perhaps to allow for those roll-off containers, because there's currently no fee for that other than regular refuse or unsorted loads. I would just hope that they have their ear to the ground and see where their commercial customers that could be dropping in Hope are actually taking it to, and the reasons why. Like if they find somehow that they hear people bringing it to the Bailey landfill or anywhere else for that matter, because we're too expensive, I think that we have to take a look at adjusting that rate to make it more attractive and hope it's still profitable for them as an operator.
And I know, Mr. Mayor, that they're fully prepared to amend, to make the balance between volume and profits. So that's a good thing. What I can say is this is a brand new thing, again, for the transfer station, so there is gonna be a bit of, this is new, let's monitor, let's see how this goes. So I wouldn't be surprised if indeed, in a while, in half a year or a year, there are some adjustments, and they'll be totally justified.
I think this is the time of year where it's gonna get busier for that type of business, just with construction taking place in the drier months, but is there any way that I could maybe add a suggested time frame to this change to be reviewed in 6 months' time, so that we can act quickly and not have people think that in the long run that Hope is not the right place for them to bring their business?
Well, in fact, staff and the contractor will monitor and they'll report costs, expenses, and revenues every month. And this will be a point that we will be reviewing with them, and we'll certainly monitor this, because again, it makes every sense that they maximize the revenue that's generated for them at the transfer station.
I don't really see where I could add a time frame, but I would certainly like that in there just for confidence that it'll get done in 6 months, in a 6-month time frame, that we'll have a review for sure on it. Or would you suggest that I could add that as a part of a motion?
We could add it as a separate motion below.
Okay. So just say then that. Was it?
After it's adopted, because this will have to be another meeting, but after that, after the bylaws adopted, that we come back in 6 months and report on the roll-off fee.
So that would be a separate motion that's required?
Yeah, you can add that.
Or can we add it to this motion? Because this right now we've got,
Can we do further as?
yeah, now therefore the district committee enacts this follows. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd like to see, something is, and further that the
Well,
fees and charges.
I would suggest that we add,
Schedule is reviewed in 6 months or something.
and that staff bring forward the roll-off fee for review to council,
In 6 months' time.
6 months from adoption.
By the end of 2019. Yeah, I'd like those words then. Added if we could. Council's amenable.
Also, I just noticed on the heading, it says, under transfer station self-haul, to the right it says, fees, Hope and electoral areas A, B, C, and D. It should just read fees then if it's open to anyone. So we'll take out those Hope and electoral areas.
Right.
Okay?
So, with no further discussion, council, I'll call the question with the amendments made to the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Correspondence, that the accounts payable check listing for May 2019 be received. Thank you. Moved and second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Same with the information correspondence, list dated June the 10th, 2019 be received. Thank you. Moved and second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. No other pertinent business. We're down to question period. Questions from the public for items relevant to the agenda. We have a big crowd tonight.
It's game 5 of the Raptors, so everybody must be watching.
I guess, I don't know.
Everybody's watching.
All right. Hearing none, the next meeting for council will be Monday, June the 24th, right here, same place, same time. Motion to adjourn. Moved, second, all in favor?